Hi everybody, this is Alan Del Monte, and I would like to give you a little quick journey through the forms of flamenco. People have many different notions about what flamenco really is and how specific do we define what is flamenco, what isn't flamenco, and even the flamencos amongst themselves don't always agree on what exactly is flamenco, and even the value of flamenco has pretty much changed over the years. There used to be a much more conservative approach to defining flamenco, and it became more and more liberal, more and more wide and broad, the definition of flamenco. So before we get into those subtleties, I just wanted to give a very quick journey through the different forms so that you're able to identify and understand what are the different types of forms, the rhythms, what in flamenco we call compás, and the different styles in terms of the cante, the singing, understanding the forms, and pretty much how it works in terms of composing inside these forms and so on. But again, this is just kind of a very general outlook on flamenco, so I'm not going to get too detailed, and there's a lot of forms I'm not going to mention necessarily, but I do want to give a broad understanding of what flamenco is in very general terms. So the first thing to understand about flamenco is that there's kind of two categories which basically exist, and each category has its own subdivisions. So first of all, the first category we're going to talk about is the one that has two divisions. All right. So the first division is the division between forms that are rhythmic, which are basically dances, which are also sung and played on the guitar, as opposed to forms that are free, or what in classical music they call rubato. Okay, which means they're free, they're not rhythmic, and they are purely cante. In other words, they're just songs which are either sung and accompanied on the guitar, or there are simply instrumental versions of these types of forms. All right. So let's start off with a few rhythmic ones, and then we'll talk about them in a whole different outlay of category. So first of all, the rhythmic forms, okay, are seguiría, soleá, alegría, bulería, tango, tiento, fandangos de Huelva, and those are the main ones, and then of course there's rumba and there's sevillanas, but those are more in the folkloric category. They're not really considered real flamenco, although flamenco artists have always used those forms to sort of record their most commercial piece of music on the album. Usually will be either a rumba or a sevillana, and even that can be done in a very elaborate and serious way. But as the form itself, in terms of how it relates to the meaning of flamenco, those rumba and sevillanas are not really considered part of the serious backbone of flamenco. All right, so these forms I mentioned up until now are basically the rhythmic forms. Okay, the free forms, the ones that have no rhythm, okay, they are taranta, granaína, malagueña, cartagenera, minera. Those are kinds of forms that are basically, each form, I'll talk about it and demonstrate on the guitar what they sound like, but basically they are just sung in phrases, and they have their own harmonic structure, and the structure is very much around the lyrics, okay, and that's pretty much what, every form has its own rules in terms of, the syllabic structure of the lyrics that are composed inside those different types of cante, and every cante comes from a different region, and it kind of represents different social situations and different life experiences, real life experiences. The taranta and the minera, for example, they come from the mines. Mine workers, gypsies who used to live in the work in the mines. They developed a certain type of cante that was based on their life experience. Okay, as opposed to the granaína, it's a free form, but there wasn't the same kind of social and reality situation of their lifestyle that compared to necessarily people working in the mines. So what do these forms sound like? Okay, let's now hear a little bit the difference in what's the difference between a soleá, a seguirilla, okay, a tiento, okay, which are the rhythmic forms, as opposed to the free ones. All right, so let's just take a quick listen.